real quick.
There we go.
There we go.
You're all trimmed up.
Who, me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Choppy. Going to the casino tonight, but I better look neat.
I have no idea if that's truthful or not.
Got my suit in the back.
Ooh. Are your casinos different than ours? We don't wear suits to our casinos. People like smoke in them and like look like they just rolled off a ranch.
I wish we had. To be fair, I don't think I've ever stepped foot in a casino, but
Yeah.
I like the rolled off a ranch feel. Maybe I'll channel that tonight.
Or like a bolo tie.
No, our business coaches are running a gala event this evening to which we were invited. And
That's
it
fun.
happens to be at the local institution in Melbourne, which has a very bad reputation, as I'm sure many casinos do. To the point that I was like, I really don't want to go to this just because of where they're having it. But it'll be fun. We've been on Zoom with
very
these people
interesting.
for a year, so it'd be nice to actually meet them in person and
Yeah, definitely.
meet the other people who are in the program and etc. It'll be an experience.
Are you sure this isn't like a multi-level marketing scam you're in?
No.
I want to meet the other people in the program. They're all making a lot of money too, I'm told.
Yeah. No. That'd be fun.
That's cool. Very cool.
How are you?
You're not being shown off like a success story, are you? That'd be kind of cool.
God, I hope not.
He's going to bring you on stage.
Meet Jem. He lost 50 grand last month.
He lost 70 before that, so he's doing great. I have no room to talk there, so
Yeah. Yeah, clap.
that sounded perfect, but I'm sure it's way off.
That's about 4 seconds at my end.
Perfect. It always works. I mean, actually, last time, in this last part of the reason that the podcast didn't go up on time, I was just, in a world of launching a new product for one, but then for some unknown reason, Descript is not showing me an accurate representation of the waveform to my video. So like I line it up
Dear.
and it's just off and I can't figure out how to shift it. I
Yeah.
contacted support and they were like, they're just kind of like acting like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, am I in a
Really.
virtual world where only I see the audio being off? Like, what is happening here? So it's like real off if you watch the YouTube, but I just like, for a podcast sense, it doesn't matter at all. But I was just very confused for quite a while. And I finally just went, screw it. I just edited it with like the video off. So.
Cool. Oh, it's infuriating when you lose sync in Descript. It can be very hard to get it back when you're halfway through cutting it all up. It's like, oh.
Well, what I thought was happening was that I've heard of this thing called drift. So like over time, the time grows, off the, like, so you have to cut it some point down halfway through and slide it back again. Either way.
Makes sense.
I thought that's what was happening. It was not. It's the whole thing, which just, I don't know. Maybe it works fine in Australia. I don't know. But
4 seconds off. It'll be fine.
they did just drop an entirely new Descript, and I'm a little put off. I mean, it's got some cool things, notably dark mode, which I love.
Yay.
But they've like moved stuff, and the way that you like, how you used to scroll to make the timeline bigger and smaller real fast?
Yeah.
Gone. Now you like pinch zoom on your tab. I don't know. I'm sure it's still good, but it's like some of the stuff that made it like really fast for me is now like slower. I don't know.
Interesting.
Not that anybody else
I'll check
cares
it
here.
out this week. I care.
This is a podcast for
Don cares.
We're talking about now, instead of talking about CNCs, we're talking about how we edit this podcast as if that's the content of the show.
The highlight of our week, Justin. What do you expect?
My podcast editing software updated. Ooh.
Amazing. So can we talk about the shiny video you sent me?
Yeah, definitely. It's not live yet, but it will be by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Since when have you been a professional video producer?
It's taken me roughly 7 years of fumbling around, slowly getting better at it, buying better gear, understanding how lighting works, turning off my shop lights so they don't flicker.
Yeah. Lighting's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. It was kind of my weekend. I spent Saturday and Sunday
Okay.
filming myself and 200 some clips of me talking to the camera that ends up being like less than a minute of content. Just over and over again, saying the wrong thing, or like I'd be looking at the screen and not the lens, just getting confused.
Has that hard drive space?
Fine. I just keep buying bigger drives. I think I have almost 5 terabytes that gets backed up to Backblaze. So
Yeah.
I kind of went. It's just like cost of doing business now, and like gosh, drive space is so cheap anymore. But I don't care. I guess.
Yeah.
If I have that in my head too, and trying to think like I'm wasting hard drive space while also trying to like record something, I'm just gonna like implode.
I've definitely caught myself doing that since having this Fuji
Yeah.
and recording in 4K. It's like I've definitely had moments when I'm shooting. I'm like, oh, I'm wasting so much data right now.
My friend Tyler does like
Yeah.
professional videography is like my go-to. He knows everything on how to edit anything or record. I'm like, I had the weird sound problem. He always has an answer. He used a Red camera recently, rented one, and it's like, oh, you bought a new Red. You didn't say what it was. You just sent me a photo of it. He's like, no. He's like, I could never manage the data from this. Like it is in like, because you shoot it like raw. So it's like, I think it was 12K, just a 12K sensor. So you just imagine
12K raw.
12K raw video. It just eats like terabyte SSDs that you shove in it. That's terrifying.
Yeah. But yeah, coming back to your video,
Mhm.
very nice.
Thank you.
So that's going up on YouTube.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll like.
I laughed at.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I laughed at your comment of like, oh, it's weird making such a short video. I'm like, well, 3 minutes. That's a long video.
Compared to like a short video, like a short, the new thing lately. But
Yeah.
all my YouTube videos are probably average like 15 minutes at least. I just can never make them short for some reason. So it felt like I had spent so much time recording, and then it was like 3:19. What the hell? Like that's so short.
It's good. Product videos should be short.
I think that's
In
true.
my opinion.
I kept cutting stuff out of like, my goal is to give like an overview, and like, I think there's still one more thing that I want to revise. I was talking with you about it. Like the why isn't always clear, but then again, it's like, if you're watching the video, you're probably already understanding why it's important in the first place. Like not, 'cause it's kind of hard to describe to somebody that doesn't have the machine why you'd even want it. Why do you want pedestals for your router?
Yeah, sure. I think the why is really important for conversion, though. You might get as far as the video.
True.
And I think if you can really clearly articulate the why, then that's a big step in the right direction for actually getting someone across the line.
I think that's true. I tried to explain it, and I realized that a lot of, I was kind of talking with you about it last night, that a lot of it's me talking to a camera, and I need more visual example of how, like you said, if you miss this one little clip, you won't even know, why did you make this? So that's the thing I think I'm going to try and change still, but yeah, happy with it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, that's the classic thing for us, though, of like getting so caught up in the making of the thing. The why is often an afterthought, or just a sort of, a natural, intuitive process of having made the thing. It's like, what do you mean you don't understand? Of course you want one.
That happened to me all the time for like the first 10 years I was designing things, where either my wife or like my good friend, I'd show him this thing I was working on. What is this for? Why are you doing this? Like whatever it was, he just gets so locked into like, I'm solving this problem for myself. And then it's like super niche and nobody needs it. I'm currently in, maybe you've experienced this to some degree, what I would like to call Shopify variant hell, where
I've got a sound effect for that.
it's so good. I mean, I'm going to use this one. Oh, good. I'm in laggy version now.
I didn't hear that at all. I just got silence.
Great. That's working good. Oh, I know why. I have my audio piped in the wrong way. Whoops. Oh, well, it's recording from my AirPods. That's good. You're hearing just my AirPods today.
Sounds great.
Great. So the way that I wanted to set it up with all the options for the pedestals, there was 320 variations. And I was like, well, A, that's not possible. Even with plugins, it was not possible to set it up like that. So I was like, I'd started to set up some of it and I was like, okay, well, what can I cut out? So I moved this drop-in version to a new product of its own instead of having it in there. So that dropped me to 80. I still have 80 variations to set up, and that's the simple version.
Good.
And I've gone through 3 of them so far. And I realized I need a spreadsheet that's outside this plugin in case I lose this information, because each time I like take a product and associate with other products so that it properly kind of tracks inventory and stuff like that if we need to, and pricing and all that stuff. It's like so many details about each variation that I could spend the rest of the day easily on this.
Are you creating, whilst you might be in Shopify variant hell, are you creating like choice paralysis for your customers?
Oh, I don't think so. It's so if you take the big variant adder is when you consider you could potentially have 20 pedestals, 20 positions.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 2 through 20 as units of how many you could choose. So I could maybe make it like 2, 4, or 5. You know, you could skip some, but you take the other 2 options that have 2 each, and you times it by 20. All of a sudden, you go from like, oh, there's 15 versions to like 80. I sent you a little
as
Slack.
a quantity variable rather than another variant.
It's an interesting idea.
Or
Maybe.
does it not work?
Well,
like that?
so if you did the quantity, I think you get, I don't know. I'll look into that. That would be nice because then it would give me a lot more options that not just like eat up all my variations, because you only do 100 on Shopify.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
Pricing also changes.
Interesting.
So the reason that I would do it like this is pricing changes after a certain quantity. I'm like price breaking after a certain number.
Yeah.
But
And Shopify is not great at price breaking, is it? I haven't done much with it.
doesn't have
but
any capability that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it's not a native function, which is weird.
Fun.
Okay.
I'm happy at this point that I figured out a way that seems like it's not complicated to look at, in my opinion. Like you see a quantity,
Sure.
you choose 2 other options, that's it. But on the back end, it's a nightmare.
Crazy.
But what's cool about this plugin, I've mentioned it before, simple bundles, it puts the all of the items into the order so that when you get it on the fulfillment side, you actually have a quantity of like how many risers, it's not just like one line that's like 3 bases or 3 pedestal kits. And you're like, what the hell does that mean if you're trying to fulfill it? So it's like a packing list almost in a sense.
Yeah, awesome. So you're using an app for that. You got an app for that?
I got an appetizer for that. Simple Bundle. What the hell is it called? Just called FC
What's that
Simple
one?
Bundles and Kits. I mentioned it a while back.
Cool. You have mentioned that. Yeah.
I will share it.
Cool.
They have a nice free option, but I think you blow through that pretty quick.
Yeah. Exciting.
Is that your Yoda?
Sure.
You've done that a few times, and it's I like it.
I don't know what it is. Do you know what I think it is actually? It's from. I think it's my Jimmy DeResta. I'm listening to his podcast too much. He makes all these kooky little noises. Yeah, little squeaks. Sweet camera setup in your video.
Oh, thanks.
You're running like a proper HDMI monitor and stuff.
It looks fancy, but there's so many
Looks so
options
fancy.
nowadays. I think I spent $60 on that little guy, but it is 4K. But Amazon, it went on sale. I think it was on $150 at one point, and I had this bigger one, but it like kind of doesn't. It's like too big. Again, it was like $115 or something. They're not very expensive, so the quality's not like you don't want to try to do your color correction on these things. But the point is, they helped me
just
a little bit larger because
fine.
like I did a whole shot where I did like the comparison at the end of set it up at the back side, like where you stand to operate the machine, a straight on shot. And then I would put on the original, I put on our drop-in version, the full pedestals, and then I would run the machine, and I wanted the exact same shot, right? Like compared so I could use them. And I did that. It took me for, way too long. I get done. I get back to my computer at 12:30 in the morning on Sunday night, and I'm looking at those shots, and 2 of them were just completely out of focus. And I had it on manual focus, and I was so frustrated. I just going to bed. This is stupid. So then I went and shot it. I put a story about this. I went and shot it in the morning. Same thing. I was like, I can set this up really close. I brought a photo out and I set it up, and I had moved the tripod, unfortunately. All the other stuff
Yeah.
stayed the same, and it worked fine. But then I shot that one, shut the machine down, turned the lights off, sat down at the computer, and a fly was flying through the shot. I've never seen a fly in a video visibly before in my life. So I sit down like, you got to be effing me. Like, what? So I go and do it again, and that's when I made those stories about like, oh, it turned out fine. But like, I even had a monitor. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't have the monitor when I was doing it the first time, so I couldn't tell that it was out of
Okay.
focus on the camera. That's what I use it for. Long story.
Classic. And you got the Sony something.
I just call it an A7,
A7.
but it's technically an A7 III. There's like 3 eyes after
Mm.
that. And I've
They seem to
been.
get really good reviews, those Sonys.
I already had one Sony that was just a more like, I think it's an A6300. I had that since like 2019 or something. It was great, but I kept getting into this weird problem of like this focus problems and stuff like that. And like, so I was like, all right, we'll step up to the next one. And I love this A7 III. It is so just a totally different quality. Like it's so much crisper. I think the lens I have on it's really nice too. That it just feels easier to use, which is kind of all that matters, right? When you're like
Yeah.
trying to make a thing and you're frustrated by how it works, and yeah, just makes it a lot more streamlined.
Yeah. Awesome.
You've been making some good videos too, though. I really enjoyed
Thanks, man.
your the vinyl stop motion. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, that was fun. I was actually just shooting a still for going to print some postcards for record stores.
Oh, smart.
And so I was just shooting a single still for that postcard graphic. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll just take a few extra frames and clickety clackety. Half an hour
500
later,
shots later.
Hey, Aaron, can you come and press the shutter for me while I make this record fall through the air?
You need a little handheld remote, man. Those are so useful.
Yeah, I need a remote if I'm going to do any more stop motion. I used to have a remote for my Canon, and it was super handy for doing that.
Mhm.
I haven't yet set up the Fuji to do remote shooting straight to my computer.
I've tried that
I
thing.
used to love doing that on the Canon because you can have your computer in the studio, even external monitor. Like if you're shooting vertical, you can have a vertical monitor in the studio and just having like as you press spacebar, it shoots and comes straight up on the big monitor. So I need to set that up again. That'd be sweet.
For sure.
But yeah, I love doing stop motion. It's great. It's kind of what I was doing before the furniture thing started. Like Laura and I were making really dinky little films, but short films. But we won some awards. I think we won best film for like 3 years in a row in this little Melbourne Film Festival for our
That's
animations.
amazing. That's
So,
wow.
it's-
Could have been a
it's-
filmmaker.
I like that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I can
it's
never
fun.
seem to do it in a time frame where it feels like I have enough time to be making a video, or like I'm not rushing through it. Yeah, I don't know. Never seems like it's always like an afterthought. And I was thinking about after I made the video is like not necessarily on the quality side of internal commentary, but just like I've never considered paying somebody else to make videos for me, but it would be so expensive to have that 3-minute video made. And I just luckily am a glutton for learning and punishing myself through new things. So 7 years later, I can make a decent video.
I had that exact thought watching yours yesterday. I was like, wow, imagine how much this would cost if you paid someone else to come in and do it.
I spend 3 days just filming. Yeah.
To that production level too, like what you've achieved by yourself on your weekend to get that quality, I think, out of an external party would be like
many
10 people on set.
a gaffer and like somebody with a
That's
mic,
what used to strike
boom,
me, like,
and
really shocked me about the film industry when I was sort of working, not in it, but kind of alongside and close to it at times. I worked on a few big sets. It seemed so epically inefficient. Having come from like this short film world where we were making little animations by ourselves, 2 of us, maybe a third person to help with sound, to like these huge sets with like 30 people standing around doing nothing most of the time. I was like, whoa, what a waste of money.
Erin always says she wants to be a continuity like expert, like when somebody's like shirt changes or like she wants I was like, that's so stressful. Or like, did you watch Game of Thrones at all?
Yeah.
Where they like had the Starbucks cup in the shot on accident and then they had to edit it out after it went live. It was like on a table in like a medieval castle, which is amazing.
So good.
Yeah. What's going on with you? Talked about me too much.
Oh, no, not at all. Oh, look, things are okay. Things are stable. Still sort of struggling internally with my whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Change of life, change of profession,
change of
life.
Yeah, change of business. Yeah, trying to re-find the joy of the business. I was saying to a friend the other day, like we're both sort of lamenting a little bit. We've both kind of built our dream workshops, and now neither of us have the opportunity to actually use them, which is a complainy lie. Like, of course, I have an opportunity to use my workshop. I can go out there anytime I want. But, you know, when you're having a little bit of a whinge, it kind of feels like that at times.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, still
Then
readjusting to that, to having some good conversations with people and making progress, I think. Feeling a bit better this week.
Good.
And otherwise, work's going well. The website continues to crack on. Our conversion rate's up 430%
Wow.
last month.
Month to month?
Whatever that means. Month to month.
Be curious to see it year over year for that month.
Year
Not
over
that you
year.
have to do it right now, but
I can do that for you, Justin.
all right.
Please hold.
All right.
Up 150% on last year.
Wow.
I don't know.
It's got, I mean, it has to be
Yeah.
navigation, as well as you've totally changed your Shopify speed and like all the other factors that help convert. That's pretty
Yeah.
confirming.
Google, like when you look at Search Console and those tools, like Google kind of hates us as far as I can tell. Like we get pretty poor speed scores, poor like CTS, whatever that
Yep. Clicked.
stuff moving on the page score.
Same.
I've been working more on that this week of like trying to ensure that all the elements stay within the same zone on every page and they're not moving, and headings are in the same justification. Because apparently you get downranked if something moves from left to right as you scroll. And
I first thought
you get amazing Google scores. Oh, you're going to say? No.
I first thought you were going to say you don't get very good search ranking, and I was like, it's the band, isn't it?
People aren't searching for Gem and the Holograms, surely.
No.
Oh, you mean BTS?
BT. Yes.
Look, BTS, as much as I love them, did a lot of damage to our organic search when they came out with that song.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh, the other part of this, when I first switched over our Shopify, I was chatting with Jay quite a bit about this exact thing. I was like, how do you deal with improving these page scores? Mine are terrible. And they were like, I don't know. We can't figure it out either. And I was like, oh, good. At least there's all of you who can't figure it out. And I'm just like, I don't know. So like the weird thing for me about just the tiny detail is a lot of mine are like file size problems. So like if you put animations on a page, now they're supposed to be videos, but they like don't embed right and not GIFs. And if they're GIFs, they're giant files and the page loads slow to get any kind of quality. And then even just like your normal images, you provide it with a reasonable size for somebody's desktop computer, and it's supposed to resize, but it doesn't always provide the right size file, so that it's reading it on the mobile is like way too large of a file size, so it's slow loading, and they always do mobile targeted, so it's like,
yeah.
I don't, why do we have to be like web developers to figure this out? Like, isn't that what Shopify is supposed to be doing for us? I don't understand.
I know. Yeah, I got rid of all the sort of legacy, all the stuff that would stretch to full width. I got rid of this week.
Really?
Previously, we had a bunch of banners that would do that, and they were kind of hangovers from the previous theme before we upgraded. And I just didn't like the way they were formatting. Like, they look terrible on a big, like, 4K monitor, like I've got in front of me. And then, yeah, they've kind of, I don't know. To your point, like, there's so much complexity there, and like often I feel like we're just stabbing in the dark of like, oh, maybe this will help appease the algorithms, but
yeah,
it's really hard to. Again, it's just another full-time job that we have to do, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
We need like a sounder for this. I have another one of Justin's big arbitrary questions. I thought about this today, and that's perfect. That's perfect. Just laugh. Okay, all right, here we go. The question is there something you never thought you could delegate that you've delegated?
Oh, good question.
I don't have an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Just edit out that huge pause.
Well. Don's got it.
Look, all of it. Like early days of butter, I was so, not even early days, just for years and years and years. Like I would hold everything so close to my chest in terms of wanting to be the one that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like micro example very early on was like when we used to make our little plywood boxes and drill the holes in them on a drill press. And, you know, setting up when you stack the two boxes, because of the way the butt joint used to work, the hole had to be offset by the thickness of the stock. And so we used to kind of tune the hole position on this jig on the drill press so that when you had two assembled boxes next to each other, the finger hole lined up nicely and wasn't offset at all. Simple kind of offset, simple like setup of a fixture on a drill press, not a big deal. But like I used to sort of hold little details like that. And like I would always want to be the one who was setting up the drill press, like doing it for paying someone to help you, but then like doing those elements for them of like, oh no, I'll do it. I'm quicker.
Yep.
I can do it more consistently, more accurately, more efficiently, whatever the excuse was. And so like, I feel like there's been things like that over the years where like I've just wanted to do everything. And I guess we've proven now that, you know, a lot of that can be successfully delegated. So yeah, I think my answer is just all of it. Like, don't know.
Yeah, I think
not a great answer, but
no, it is. I mean, it's a good example. The thing I was ruminating myself was there's constantly things where I prove that to myself. Somebody else proves to me, basically, right? Like, oh, that could be taken on. When Andy worked here, particularly, he was like the first one that really started challenging me on like, you got to give me more of this kind of stuff, you know, like, and nobody really had ever done that. It was always like, you know, whatever I suggested or asked, can you do this? They would take on. But he was finally just like, what, you know, I got to be able to help through these other things. And I was like, this is great. I need more of this. But there's constantly stuff that I just feel like there's no way I'll ever be able to give this to anybody else to do. And I think the answer, even from just sitting here asking you about it, is everything should be able to be delegated. And it's just a matter of like how, or maybe when, or the person, or education, or I don't know. There's a lot. Unfortunately, if you go by the E-Myth or lean standards or something, put it all together, it means that those are a bunch of failures on my end, that I can't delegate certain processes, that they're too nuanced and goofy and inefficient. And unfortunately, that list is quite long at this point.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I think at the end of the day is processes and documenting how and why you do something. You know, my current example of something I feel like I can't delegate is photography and video. But I think that's just, you know, because I haven't, you know, hired the right person, or I've never sort of consciously documented how I set up my flashes or my lights.
Yeah.
You could theoretically document, you know, all of those processes so that you get that sort of consistency between operators, and then have someone come in who, you know, knew what they were doing, had their own talents, but could then operate within your framework of what you've established as the norm for your operations. Interesting question.
Kind of a deep, like rethinking all the things.
Yes. Yeah.
Another interesting thought that came up during that. I don't do this very well, but we only have a very small team at this point. But like, you know, we do some type of like annual review, or you're saying, what do you call them? Walkarounds or walking
hot
times?
laps.
Hot laps.
Yes.
Hot laps. All right. So here's the idea. What if instead, especially you with this giant list of products, you do this with your products? Like their profitability, their, what's the Japanese word for like, you know, analyzing something for inefficiency? Like you take each product, it doesn't have to be you, but it could be someone on the team, or maybe it, you know, you split them up and you're like, all right, so what's up with this product? Should we keep selling it? How profitable is it? Like, what's the sales trend? Like, I don't know, just
yeah,
kind
that'd
of
be great.
Reminisced the idea of like taking your people reviews that you're seemingly doing pretty well. It's like, there's got to be things that you're making or not making or should be selling more of. I don't know, leaning it up.
Totally. Yeah. I think we're doing okay.
But
We do pricing reviews pretty formally. We take that pretty seriously. We've tried and failed with a lot of ways of like doing sort of timing reviews in production of like, cool, right, we've got this variant of this shelf is coming through, has been ordered, it's coming through production now. Can we get some really tight timing data just on this, we'll cross-reference it against the pricing and check that everything's okay. On the sort of idea that if it blows out, either we're like tweaking the price to the reality or we're having a conversation about like, cool, how can we improve how we're processing these parts. It's been a bit hit and miss in terms of collecting that data. We've either collected too much and it's been wasted, or we haven't collected enough or not regularly enough. But generally speaking, our pricing review structure is pretty good.
Yep.
What we're not amazing at is sort of when we do kill products, it tends to be pretty knee-jerk, of like a knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, I feel like we haven't sold those for ages and they're a pain to make. Let's just delete it. Gone. Suddenly overnight it's gone from the website, which is a nice, cleansing thing to do. But I feel like that could be done much more critically in terms of, like you said, like looking at sales patterns, and collecting a little bit of data and being, or even sort of, as you say, taking it for a walk around the block and going, what value do you still have? Like,
and obviously,
what can you improve?
Jem is just out there carrying a stool around the block, talking to it, obviously. I didn't mean this to be like you targeted. I realized after I said it, I meant like royal you of one.
No,
and I think about these
things.
think about these things for myself down the road sometimes of like, do I want to consider it this way? Someday when I have enough products that matters, or no, I do. It's like I do have things that don't sell, but it's hard. Similarly hard to talk to a team member about something that's not going well. It's hard to kill a product that's not going well. Differently. It's different difficulty, but...
Is it? I've always found it easy enough.
But it feels like we've talked about that there's part of you and there was value there.
No, it's a good point. And like the value of speaking to a staff regularly.
Exactly.
I've been thinking about that this week actually is, so if we then apply that to product.
Exactly, yeah.
The value of having, we do a 3 monthly check-in with staff, which is like a formal sort of hour where we run through a template and chat.
Wow.
That's fantastic. Even on a weekly basis or even a daily basis, like some staff, I will have a daily 5-minute check-in with, or even longer.
Yeah.
And by just having that structure in place, it means that anything awkward or difficult that has to come up, you're not going to that person just to have an awkward conversation out of the blue. It's like you're just having your regular daily check-in, and there's good things that come up and harder things that come up. And so it just makes that process, someone like me who's very conflict adverse,
same.
It just makes that way, 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 way easier because you're just talking to that person every day anyway at a sort of a set time. So if you could apply that to product, it'd be like, annual review of products of like, what's your value? How do you relate to our other products? That was something that came up.
Yeah, exactly.
In a marketing chat during this few months ago. We've kind of got these different we've got like a bedside table and a bed, but they were designed completely independent of each other, and the heights don't really make sense. And like, let's try and sort of consolidate our products so that they work together a bit better. So
yeah,
I like it.
I'm sure it's been done, but I don't think it's really unique. But I was just thinking like,
it's cool.
You got to consider them in a certain way, similarly. So yeah. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I've lost all track of time, frankly. Deep in the product launch feelings, I made a new variation of one of the pieces of the pedestals, and design went well. The things I needed to do CAD-wise, I even dropped it into the existing fixture that I had made for the mill, got the material, go to post the code, and got one of the weirdest sequences of Fusion crashing things that I've ever had, such that when I reported it to the developer at Fusion that I usually say, something's going on here, they were like, this is significant. Nobody's ever done this before. It's never, they have these things called buckets. So nobody's ever fallen into this bucket before of like basically options that have I was like, what? Twice in 30 days I have this kind of thing? Like, what is going on? How am I doing this? So like what happened ultimately, that version of my Fusion file completely borked. It will not let me post anything like existing NC setups, NC programs, or setups. When I try and post, it continues every time I orbit the screen. It acts like it's going to post, and then it just keeps making NC programs every time I orbit, just a new one every time I orbit. And I think what's going on, which they're working on, is I deleted the post for the problematic crash your machine post, and they were associated with that. Those setups were, and so now it's like seemingly confused, and I have no option to edit them. But if I went back 3 versions to version 91 instead of 4, it's fine. It's fine. So I had like an hour and a half where I could not post from this file or do anything. And I was like losing my mind. I was like, I have to make this part to film it to... I was so stressed out by that. But I don't know. Just weird problems I keep finding.
Wow, Justin's special bucket.
Show title. Some good ones in here already.
Amazing.
I don't know. Suits for the Casino is pretty good too.
I think Justin's special bucket takes the cake.
Woo!
Cool.
I have to go back to my variant hill.
Back to your variant hill. Excellent. I don't know what I'm doing this morning. Come up with something quick.
Thinking kind of combining you like making videos, and as you were talking about making one of those videos and like how you used to do it in the past, I was thinking, you need a new passion project. I was like, what if you just went a little bit off the deep end and we're like, I'm just going to make a documentary about like butter, and you're just like this in the corner, just like filming everything constantly. And they're like, what is Jim doing? He's making a video. It just like takes like a month. It would come out great, I think, but just renewing your passion for making videos. But I think it's it's super valuable, right? It's like how people see things of your business. And
yeah, that is important.
Kind of refreshing your presence in a certain sense, like I just realized you can see the microphone in the screen.
Oh, me too.
How poor of me. Just a little, just a tip. Boop, boop.
Well, let's turn the microphones off.
Yeah, let's go. Well, have a good day, man.
You too.
Yep.
Thanks. I'll see you on the other side.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.